Hello guys, life doesn't answer to efforts and life doesn't necessarily respond in rewards to efforts. And I think also I can say that God doesn't necessarily answer to efforts and God does not necessarily reward efforts. And this is very critical because in Africa, I think that we are an effort-driven continent. I think that everything that we are, everything that we do, usually is measured by efforts. And it's expressed in the way we farm, in the way we eat, in the way we work, in the way we pray. It's like there is an emphasis in efforts. We are driven by efforts, and we think that the growth of life and the reward of life should be measured by the effort that is invested into a thing. Yesterday, I was talking with our people at the office, and we were discussing one of our businesses that isn't doing so well. And while that conversation was going on, I began to stray into very deep thoughts. And right in that moment, it hit me that life doesn't reward efforts. Neither does God. And life doesn't necessarily answer to efforts. Neither does God. And I will show references. So it's not like this is just one inspiration talk. Many will come and say, I heal the sick in your name. I raise the dead in your name. And he will say to them, depart from me, I don't even know you. And it takes a lot of effort to heal the sick and to raise the dead. The Bible talks about praying amiss. People pray, but they pray amiss. And the disciples came to Jesus and said, teach us how to pray. So it simply means that not every effort in prayer is rewarded. Even prayer. However essential that prayer is, not every effort into prayer is rewarded. Faith without works is dead. However powerful your effort in faith is, if it's not married with an ingredient of work, that effort in faith is dead. Does that make sense now? So there are many efforts I can keep repeating and emphasizing, and you will get to see the pattern that life doesn't reward efforts. Life doesn't answer to efforts. And if life did, when I said this yesterday, Abigail asked a question that if life doesn't reward effort, what does life reward? And how can I say that life doesn't answer to efforts? And I asked you a question. I said, do you think that you have better reward than the guy pushing a wheelbarrow? And you said yes. And I asked her, who is putting in more effort? That means who is putting in more effort? The guy who is pushing a wheelbarrow and you who is in the office typing something on the computer. Who is putting in more effort? Is the wheelbarrow pusher. So if life rewards efforts, then the guy who is pushing the wheelbarrow, with all due respect to him, should do far better than the guy in the banking hall. You know what I'm saying, right? So life doesn't reward efforts. And however honorable efforts are, because efforts are required, don't get me wrong, everything that life rewards will require effort. But effort in its natural state is not what life rewards. Does that make sense? Everything that life will reward, you will get to see that those things will still require effort. When you say faith without work is dead, when you bring in the work, that working on the faith is an effort. When the disciples said, teach us how to pray, when the teaching comes on the prayer, the praying must still be done for there to be answers. Are you getting me now? So effort is a necessity. However, effort does not guarantee success. Just the same way that intentions do not guarantee success. That you meant well does not mean you will do well. You may do things with good intentions and still have very bad outcomes. In the same way, you can put in a lot of effort, So let me give you an example. So you can have a car given to a person to get that person from one point to the other, and instead of driving the car, the person is pushing the car. And the pushing of the car obviously is exerting more effort. He is a hard worker. And the guy who is pushing the car will work longer hours. We put in a lot of energy. We'll sweat more, but we'll arrive late. But there is effort. And I think that in the context of our continent, that looks like what we do a lot. The developed nations, they give in more than the efforts. Developing nations put priority more on efforts. It's interesting to think that in developing nations, we have like 500 political parties in a nation, and yet we have bad leadership. In developed nations, they have only 2 parties running for election, and they have better leadership. We just like efforts. The numbers must be high. The energy must be high. When we are praying, we are like this. And it looks like the man who is praying without like this is having more results, because we are effort driven. Sadly, life doesn't bend only to effort. And like I said before, efforts are necessary. Even when you find the place and the thing and the action that is rewarded, that thing will still require efforts. So the guy who is pushing the vehicle as against driving the vehicle may be exerting the wrong efforts, but the guy who is driving the vehicle as against pushing the vehicle is also exerting efforts. The difference is that one is driving the vehicle and the other person is pushing the vehicle. But both of them are imputing efforts. But the man who is pushing the vehicle thinks that because he has put in so much time, so much energy, there should be more reward. You see that now? However, the one who drives must still put in effort to drive. But the driving gives better reward, even though the driving takes less effort. Is that making sense? So what is the difference between the guy who is pushing the vehicle and the guy who is driving the vehicle? That is where the reward is. Think with me for a second. Imagine a guy who now sees the man driving the vehicle. And he says, the way that Apeh drove that car, now I know that it's not by pushing, it is by driving. So his level of knowledge has shifted a bit in the application of his efforts. So the next time now, that fellow will, instead of pushing the car from the external, will come inside the car. But give it some thought. What if he goes into the car? He sits on the driver's seat like I did, and then the first thing he does is to press the accelerator. And he began to press. You know, when we were younger, they called it throttle. People call it accelerator now. We call it throttle. So imagine he begins to press the throttle, hoping that the car will move, because now he has learned a higher level of knowledge that you don't push vehicles to drive vehicles. You enter the vehicle and drive the vehicle. So now he has entered with the wheels, and then he's trying to work on the gear stick, and then he's just pressing the throttle. What he forgot to do was to turn on the car. So again, there's a level of effort, but there is no results. Now I just mentioned a very powerful word, result, because we again live in a very result-oriented generation. So we have a conflict of approach. Here we have a people that just emphasize so much on efforts, then we skip again and emphasize so much on results. And the connection between your efforts and the result is the one thing that we always miss. And that's why sometimes we attain results that still land us in terrible ends. Are you following that now? Because you can have the result without the virtue. You know where people say that the end justifies the means. That is a man who is corrupt speaking. Because the end does not justify the means. That you made money and you made so much money by killing people or by cheating people does not justify that because you have so much money now, the means by which you got the money is also justified. That's not true. The fact that you wanted to have children and you began to rape young girls to have children does not mean that the end of the children you have justifies the rape by which you attain the children. The end never justifies the means. The means is as important as the end. So as you put in the efforts, the effort must be tailored by a means that qualifies the end. Does that make sense now? So let me give you a story. Let me tell you a story. So sometime last year, we had our memory card, somewhere with one of the team members. And okay, the guilty parties are in this room. So we had a need for it for the next video shoot. So I said to them, make sure you go and get it. Get that, what's it called? What do you guys call it? SD card today unfailingly. So the guy with the SD card was maybe like 40 minutes away from our office. And then I will not call names before they will now hunt me later. So they left the office by the instruction of one madam in this room to go and pick up the SD card. Then the gentleman who was with the driver to pick up the SD card, who is also in this room, did not call the man with the SD card. And they drove all the way, for those of you who know Abuja, from Wuse to Lugbe, right? They now drove there. Ire is laughing. And now it was at the point of arriving in Lugbe, they began to call the gentleman, where are you? The gentleman said, I'm not at home. Now, they put in so much effort to drive from Wuse 40 minutes to Lugbe to get the SD card. But if only they had made a 10 seconds call before leaving Wuse, they would have had rewards on their efforts. And then that call would have determined if the efforts invested was required in the first place. And many of us are traveling from our Wuse to our Lugbe without making the phone call. in the marriage you want to marry, in the course you want to study, in the city you want to relocate to, in the country you want to japa to, you are trying to leave Wuse to Lugbe, you have not made that 10 seconds call. And then you arrive there and you have to turn back empty-handed. Because life doesn't answer to efforts. And life doesn't reward efforts. Now, if we're saying that, what does life reward? What does life answer to? It's a very simple word. Simple word. That's the question you asked yesterday. Life responds to methods. Every effort that is not tailored by methods will either produce the wrong results or produce result at very high expense or produce no result at all. There's a very interesting scripture. Jesus came upon the disciples and they were fishing. And he asked them, oh boy, how far? And they gave a very powerful answer. They say, we have been toiling all night. We have been toiling. That word is a powerful word. We have been laboring all night, but there is no results. Nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. And you know what happened? The way, hear this carefully, Damilola. The way entered their boat and showed them the way. He didn't get it. He asked them, have you been able to catch fish? They said that we have been laboring. If it's labor, we are not lazy. While others were sleeping, we were here in our boats all night. We were laboring, but there's nothing to show for the labor. Then the way, Jesus is the way, the truth and the life. The way entered their boat and showed them the way. And when they followed the way, they found the fish. Are you following this now? And that brings me back to what life rewards and what God rewards. God rewards methods. He rewards methods so much that he became a method. He had so much regard for method, so much so that he himself became a method. When you hear the word the way, a way, or ways, what comes to your mind? If I may suggest, the first thing that comes to our mind is a path. Where is the way to, we'll say to? You go left, you go. So when you hear the way or a way or ways, the first thing that comes to our mind is a path. A way is a path that leads to a place. That can be the first definition of a way. Number two definition is, when I say a way, the other thing that comes to mind is a culture. A culture is the way of life of a people. Am I correct? I think we did that in social studies or something. A culture is the way of life of a people. Number three way to look at a way is what? Is a method. What do you say? Is a method. Because a method is the way by which a thing is done or a thing should be done. And so in Jesus, who is the way, there is a path, there is a culture, and there is a method. And that must be applicable to everything that we are and everything that we do. Is to say that whatever efforts you have and whatever efforts you are investing or imputing, you must have method that guides it. Any effort void of a method is labor in waste, not just in vain. Is labor in waste. Any effort void of method is labor in waste, not just labor in vain. Every labor, every effort void of method will also produce the wrong result, even if there's a result. Is it because we celebrate results in our generation without checking the construct of the result? There are many results that are coated by corruptions, coated by errors. Are you following me now? So if you have effort that does not have the proper method, you see, the ways are so important that when God asked Abraham to kill Isaac, that was the will of God. Am I correct? Killing Isaac is the will of God. But in doing so, even though it takes effort to kill a son that at the time was like his only legit son. He had two sons, but there was only one that was legit. So it's a lot of efforts to have to kill a son. But God said that you can't just kill him anywhere. I will show you where that this guy will be killed. So there is a way to execute the will. So I'm saying to you that even when you are in the will of God, you cannot still run from the method, because there is a way to execute the will. Even if you find the will, it's not enough to do the will outside the way. There is how to do the right thing even if you are in the right place. There is a way. There is a method. Science is one of the fundamental expressions of the power of methods. And that's why in science we have what they call laws of physics, laws of gravity. There are many laws, and those laws are expressions of the power of methods, that if you apply this law, the outcome is almost guaranteed. And when you apply a method to your effort, sometimes it gives you result faster. So there's a story of a company that had a very sensitive machine. That machine determined the success of their operation. And the machine developed a fault. And in that desperate attempt, because it's a fundamental tool to their production, they began to call various experts to come and have the machine fixed. And in that attempt, many of them came. They still could not fix the problem, right? And after many days of trying different people to solve the problem, they called one very old gentleman who came, and they told him the problem, that our machine is very bad. We have called many people. Nothing has happened. Please, can you have us help us fix this machine? And he brought his tool, and he went straight to a particular place and touched something for like 5 minutes. And he said, try it now. And they tried it, and the machine came on. And then they said, oh wow, this is amazing. We have spent 5 days trying to do this. And how did you do it? How much is your fee? And he gave them his fee. And they became offended suddenly. So it was a mixed feeling. They were suddenly happy that the machine that they have been trying to fix for so long has not been fixed. They now asked for the fee. The man told them a huge sum, and they became offended. They said, people came here. They spent 3 days. They couldn't do this thing. You just came and spent 10 minutes, and you want to be paid this kind of money. Why should we pay you this kind of money? He said, you are paying me for knowing where to touch. That's the power of method, because it can save you a lot of years of pain and suffering if you just know where to touch. And in other expressions of method will also slow down your process. So there are certain things in your life that method will save you time. No, let me say it again. Let me say it in a different way. This is powerful. There are many things that methods will suggest to you that will take a longer time. But method, this is powerful. But method will always save you time. I'll say it again. When you apply method, the expression of method or the effect of method may suggest that the thing you are trying to achieve, you can achieve it faster. In other cases, methods input will make it longer. But I'm saying that if you achieve it faster by method, or you achieve it longer by method will always save you time. Because it's better to do it right with the right method in a longer time than to do it in a shorter time outside method. When you spend so much time in the right method, however much it pains you to spend 4 years in school or carry the child for 9 months, like why can't it be 3 months? In the long run, that stretch of time is saving you time. Because the effect of not using the right method will mean that you will come back 5 years' time and suffer the consequences of escaping method. The thing that method affords you may take you 1 year to achieve it. You may find other ways to achieve it in 1 month, but you will suffer it for many years to come. But method may take 1 year from you, but it will save you 20 years to come. My point is to say that method will always save you time. However long it takes, it is saving you time. It's better to do it right, by the right way, in the right method, because in the long run, long term, method will always what? It will save you time. Even when it takes you a long time, in the right method, it's still saving you time. And you can ask many fathers of faith who found a shortcut to achieve certain things outside method, and they paid in many generations to come. After they were dead, they were still paying for it because they violated the requirements of the method. So I think that we have made some progress. Efforts are required. So let me say this again, that even while you are engaging the right method, methods are not also void of efforts. You know, I said that life doesn't reward efforts, but what life rewards will still require effort. So even when you engage the right method will still require efforts. But the efforts in the method will be shaped by the method. And the shaping of the efforts in the method will be influenced by the path it follows. It will be influenced by the culture it embraces, and it will be influenced by the method, the application that it engages. Are you following that now? You know, we said a way finds expression in different ways. We said it comes in the form of a path, in the form of a culture. And culture simply means that you must do it repetitively. I say that now. And it also comes in the form of a method, which is like a solution. We call that in science, a solution. The way you apply, or an equation, what you apply to arrive at the desired end. Does that make sense to you? So efforts are meant to be shaped by methods, but methods will still require efforts. But let me say this now very quickly. Efforts also may uncover methods, but reward is only birthed by the efforts that is shaped by the methods. Should I say that again? Efforts. I'm trying to say that sometimes you may have to keep trying without a method. It is in the trying without a method that will help you uncover the method. So, efforts may uncover methods. Efforts, that is to say that you may need to keep trying even when, like the disciples were trying to toil all night. It was in the place of effort that the way found them. You didn't get it. The disciples were in the place of efforts. They toiled all night. If they were on their bed sleeping, the way would not have found them. I'm saying that even you cannot say, because I don't know the method, I will not try. I'm saying that you must try, because trying sometimes is the only thing that unlocks the method. One of the inventors had tried hundreds of times to invent, I think the light, Thomas Edison, I think so. And when they tried to ridicule him and say, you have been failing for 1,000 times. He said, no, I didn't fail for 1,000 times. I just learned 1,000 ways that this thing does not work. And sometimes you must learn 1,000 ways that a thing does not work to unlock the one way that it works. So sometimes it's the effort that you put in that helps you to find the method that is required. But bear in mind that the thing that is truly rewarded is the eventual efforts that is shaped by the method. So if you were going by the disciples who were toiling all night, there was nothing to take home. That's the bottom line. There was nothing to take home. But in trying through the night, they found the way. And the way found its way into their boats. And by reason of that, the way showed them how to trap the fish beyond their imagination. So methods must be shaped, efforts, must be shaped by methods. But many times it is the investment in consistent efforts that will give birth to finding the method. But every effort that will be rewarded are efforts that are shaped by the methods that have been uncovered, discovered, and engaged on your efforts. And when you discover the method, that means I should say it again. So, Effort will be required to uncover the method. But the efforts that are truly rewarded are efforts that are shaped by methods that are unraveled, uncovered, applied. It's those efforts that truly gives you the reward. Like I said, the guys who were toiling all night, they toiled all night, but there was nothing to show for it. It was when they now found the method that they now had something to show for it. So your effort must be tailored by the methods. When you tailor efforts by the proper methods, what happens is that you just don't get only results, you will achieve results. Genuine, authentic results is when efforts are tailored by methods. And if the methods are very pristine and legit, that result will give birth to fulfillment. And the reason why I want to end this conversation with that element of fulfillment is because I want to categorize results. To say that even when you apply the right methods on the right efforts, it's not enough just to have results. The results must have a character, and that character must give birth to fulfillment. Have you achieved results that made you feel empty before? You even applied the method, but you achieved the result, but the result that you achieved, people were clapping for you, but you felt empty inside. That feeling of emptiness is the lack of fulfillment. I should say that fulfillment is when you feel full. And you can feel full even when you have little. You can achieve small results and still feel full. That feeling of fullness is what I call fulfillment. And when you are truly living in fulfillment, even those that have more than you will start envying you. They have 1 million, you have 100,000, but you have 100,000 in fulfillment. And then the man with the 1 million begins to envy the man with the 100,000. In the words of Mercy Chinwo, you make the little things I do be like saying a big thing. No. That is the testimony of a person in fulfillment. So the goal is to be committed to efforts. Everything that you do will require efforts. Everything that you do. But the genuine reward of life are given birth to by the efforts that are shaped by methods. And sometimes to find those methods, you must be found in efforts. And when you find the methods to shape your efforts, you achieve results. Then you can begin to see results. Developing nations are nations that apply methods on almost every effort. And it looks like they are doing things that we can never imagine in our nation. See that now? When you achieve those results, the only way that you achieve those results to build you up is to ensure that it's refined enough to still give birth to fulfillment in your life. So it's efforts to methods, to results, to fulfillment. With these few points of mine, I hope you are convinced and not confused that efforts are required, but efforts alone will not give you the rewards and the results that you desire. You need to apply methods. You need to apply the way. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. And very interesting, nothing was made that was made without the Word. I think that was John 1:3 or John 1:2. So what truly must be made by the Word, must be made by the way, must be made by a pristine method. God bless you.